With their signature style and unforgettable sound, Duran Duran left an indelible imprint on the world of pop music. Songs such as Notorious and When You're Hungry turned the group into international icons of the 1980s. But their story didn't stop there. In the last 3 decades, the group has sold more than 80 million albums and performing mammoth shows around the world for enduring fans. This month, Duran Duran is joining forces with legendary music producer Mark Ronson in their 13th album entitled All You Need Is Now. I spoke to the band's lead singer Simon Le Bon and keyboardist Nick Rhodes and asked whether the music making ever gets easier.
Well, when I joined the group in 1980, we were very much an experimental group. We're from, 2 members from art school. Before me, they had a clarinet in the band. And I think that we kind of got picked up after a year of playing in nightclubs. We became sort of taken up by the pop movement. And that sort of set us off on a road which took us away from experimentation. And by the 3rd album, I think we were heading for mainstream pop or mainstream rocky.
Roger Taylor apparently is convinced that Mark Ronson has saved the band. Quoted in the Daily Star newspaper in the UK, he said that's because he's helped you 80s hitmakers rediscover your sound. Do you agree?
Well, I've never spoken to the Daily Star newspaper myself, but I'm sure they are the bastion of accuracy.
Yes.
So, Mark has been fantastic to work with. He's been on board with us now for almost a year and a half making the album. His tenacity is beyond most producers, and he's got really fantastic musical knowledge. He was a Duran Duran fan, so he was able to come in and say, well, this is what I like about your band, and I like this sound, and what you did on this track, and can we possibly do a bit more of that? And he was particularly a big fan of the first couple of albums. So he wanted to try and recapture the energy and the spirit of those songs, and also our sort of leaning towards experimentation. So there's a few tracks on this album that I think are probably a little more out there, as they say, than things we've done in a while.
Mark said that he felt that for him, when he was a kid and he listened to it, the 3rd album was a little bit of a disappointment, that he felt it was safe, but it lacked direction and it was a bit too eclectic. And he had always dreamed of making this very exciting, experimental 3rd Duran Duran album with us. And now he had the opportunity to do so. He took us off as far as he could. And he got us to do a lot of things that we haven't done for a long time. I mean, all the synthesizers on the album they're all analog synths. There's no digital synth on it at all. The way he got me to sing was he got me to experiment with my voice and not be worried about perfect pitching and orthodox, classy singing. He wanted to get something more raw and more emotional out of me.
All right. Question from Kristin. She says to both of you, which track or album of yours has, through time and distance, been made even better for you? And are there any songs that you have taken to listening to recently and said, wow, I'd forgotten how good that is? And she says, conversely, is there any songs that are now too dated for consideration in a tour lineup?
The song that's kind of one of the songs that's lasted the best since 1993 is Ordinary World. It still sounds very fresh and emotional now. The song which makes me go, wow, I'd forgotten how good this was, would be a B-side, Secret October.
Somebody who goes by the moniker of Mr. has written in just one simple question. If you could go back and do it all again, what would you change and what would you enjoy doing twice, guys?
I think we'd probably all say we'd do exactly the same as we did all the way through. It doesn't mean that we didn't make mistakes, of course we did, but you do learn from them, and that's the way forward. I think with Duran Duran, you know, we're an experiment the whole time. We are still like an art school band. When we set out to make a new record, we sit in a room together and with a blank sheet, and we all look at each other and say, okay, What should we do? How should we approach this? What technology are we going to use? Who should we work with? And there's something very pure about that we've all enjoyed. The reason we're still together is because we want to be. We like our process, we like what we create together, and it's good working as a team. I think actually being a solo artist can be quite lonely sometimes. We all enjoy each other's company and what we can achieve together. So I guess it wouldn't change anything.
And Simon, is this the first of many collaborations with Mark Ronson?
Well, no, it's the second. We did a thing in Paris with him in 2007, which started this ball rolling. Actually, I get the feeling that we've hit on something here. We've hit on a great team. He really has a knack of getting the best out of Duran. I'd love to work with him again. I get the feeling that he really enjoyed it too.
And touring. What's upcoming?
Yeah, well, what we're doing now is we're getting our ideas together. This is an important project for us. We want to go out with a spectacular tour in 2011.
Kristen's got another question for you both. She says, you were instrumental in the early success of MTV. We all remember that, showing how music videos could promote, sell and expose what you were doing. If All You Need Is Now was your debut and you had to compete with shows like Jersey Shore and 16 and Pregnant to get eyeballs, what would your strategy be? And she says, are music videos still relevant, in fact?
Well, music videos are definitely relevant now in a very different way than they were when we started out. And that is that now mostly they're consumed on the internet. There's a site called Vivo that is really becoming what MTV was early on, in that that's where you go to find new videos coming out from artists from every genre. And it's really actually quite exciting, I think, again, because there's a lot of new ideas. People are making videos with little flip cams now, and it's the ideas that have become important as opposed to the budgets, which is what happened exponentially throughout the 80s as they just went up and up and up, and people were starting to make things, including ourselves, that were like chunks of Hollywood movies.